Hey folks. Well, it's my last night here in Michigan, and some thoughts have been showing up the last day or so. Because this is the first time I've been on vacation with Elise, sort of on our own, without Katie. It's just been so beautiful. And I've had this sense of just, Annalise and I've had a deep connection forever. She's my daughter. But there's something really wonderful happening here, because I've had her for an entire week. She really hasn't talked about missing Mama at all. And she's very close with her Mama, and she's very connected to her Mama, and she needs her Mama. But what this tells me is that if I give her my attention, and if I spend the time with her, and just basically, I've just given myself to her full time for the entire trip, and then every once in a while it's been okay. She's kind of walked off with other people, or today she went blueberry picking with her Aunt Julia and her cousins, and I stayed home and cleaned the boat. But what's been showing up is that this time, this is such a special time. I can hardly even put into words how grateful I am that we've had this time. And there was part of me in the last day or two felt like, and the fact that it's ending. We're about to go back home, and Annalise is going to go to school on Wednesday of next week. And so I had this sense of, every once in a while I have this sense of, I should be spending more time with her, or like it's like an odd, it's not an obligation, not a feeling of obligation, but it's like a feeling of, I don't want to miss this. I don't want to miss this moment that I'm being offered. And what I realized, though, what's come through just yesterday, I think, and sort of today a little bit, is this feeling of like, this particular chapter, this particular week in Michigan is obviously ending. But really, that has opened a new chapter of our lives, which is the chapter of our lives when Papa and Annalise can go on vacation together. And the other thing that's been coming through is that as that opens up, as that chapter opens up, and as I take this step with her, there's also part of me, because she's going to school next week. That's such a huge step. She's spent a good portion of her childhood living through the pandemic, so she hasn't played with that many kids. She's never been in daycare. She's never been in a classroom full of kids. So she's got a bunch of new experiences coming her way. And allowing her to take that step and letting myself also take my own steps has showed up in a big way in the last couple of days. Realizing that this time with her has been incredible, and we will do things like this again. Like I said, we now know that this is how we can interact. But there's also an aspect of myself over the last several months, well, ever since the move in June, I would say about the last 2 months, a little bit before that, because the chaos of the move kind of kicked in before we actually moved. It's been a period where I've had not as much time as I used to have to do my own work. Just predicting when my hours were going to be free has been a bit of a thing. And I've been letting myself, at first I kind of resisted that. I kind of fought it. I wished that I could predict my hours more. I got kind of attached to this. I started to feel like, oh, I'm never getting anything done. And then little by little I realized, oh no, I'm having one of the most beautiful chapters of my life ever with my daughter right now, because we're getting all this time. I would take her to the pool in Albuquerque, or I would just play with her, or now here we are in Michigan. And so letting the next phase happen, where she goes to school and I have 6 or 7 hours a day, predictable blocks of time again. It's been ages, probably since before she was born, that I've had that kind of time. It's almost kind of harrowing in a way, because a chapter's ending. I've been realizing that next step for me is also my next step with her. It's not that now I'm shifting my focus away from her into my own creative work. It's that my whole life is one evolving process. Going deeply into what I'm doing, going deeply into this post, into the potentially some songwriting, into the cabaret that I am creating, really in a serious way, having the time to do that, and actually now kind of having a bit of a chapter where that can be a little more front and center, even as I continue to have time with Elise, but letting that next chapter happen is so key to a long-term relationship with Elise, because that's my self expressing myself, discovering myself, evolving myself, and letting everything that is deeply in me and deeply important to me really kind of have that moment, have a chance to come through and to enter back into kind of predictable time priority structure of my life. And as we grow, connecting with that and staying with that, knowing that that's available to us is so key. It's just so much what we need. Being really in our alignment with what's coming through us, with what Source is saying through us, is just such a huge part of our relationships with our children. It's just massive. Letting a phase end. When I was doing the masterclass with Madeline Bruiser, she did something really interesting right at the end. On the last day after the concert, as everybody was sort of like just connecting, just the people who had been part of the masterclass series were connecting, she drew attention to the fact that the group was about to dissolve and that we were going our separate ways, that the event was ending. The moment of dissolution. She kind of referred to the moment of dissolution and letting the event end. And I just found it such a powerful awareness to have that, oh, this is ending now. Not papering that over with, oh, we'll stay in touch. Oh, we have the Facebook group. Oh, we'll still be able to connect. Of course, that's true. But something's also ending. Letting the thing end. Letting this week end. This beautiful, beautiful week is important. It reminds me of what I was saying yesterday about our mythologies and how we interpret death in our stories, how we perceive is a kind of expression of how we perceive death in the world, and the ending of a phase is a kind of death. It's a dissolution of a chapter. Letting that in, I get to feel sad about it ending while at the same time being joyful that it's ending. Because something has to happen next. So yeah, we'll be on our way to New Mexico as of tomorrow. And we'll have some amazing memories to take home with us. Thanks, folks. Thanks for watching. Love you much. I'll see you tomorrow.